What's in a name? My name is John Ince. The name Ince means island in Welsh. And God, how many years ago was it when my father passed away? I guess about 30 years ago. We were standing by his gravesite on Long Island, and just as they were getting ready to lower the coffin down into the earth, I turned around, and there was a stone wall, and inscribed in that wall were the words of John Donne's famous poem, "No Man is an Island." And as I started reading the words, I started weeping openly, so much that my brothers and sisters and nephews came over trying to comfort me. I can't remember exactly what it was that triggered that. But I think it had to do with the realization of how a person relates to the world around them. I've always been an insular person, or at least very much so, since especially that life-changing experience with Nancy McEwen. And I think to myself, no man is an island. No, that's not true. The name Ince means island. I am an island. In fact, I've lived much of my life on islands. Long Island, Manhattan. I lived on Amelia Island in Florida, and Hilton Head Island in California, which is an island, and Harvard, which is an island. We all live on islands. We all live in our own echo chamber. So what's in a name? Ashley Brilliant, one of my favorite philosophers, kind of a humorous type guy. He's written a bunch of books. He says, no man is an island, but some of us are very long peninsulas. I think that kind of describes me. But it was years ago when I was living over there and working with my nonprofit called One World Incorporated and doing a lot of creative writing. I had decided to take the material from a book that I had written about my generation. I had interviewed about 40 of my classmates from Harvard, seeking to get a sense as to how they were blending into society and how the idealism that we held on to, or at least we trumpeted in the 60s, was holding up. And in the course of those interviews, many of the classmates made reference to one of our classmates who had emerged as kind of a central figure, a guy by the name of Nick Gagarin, an author, a young author, son of Russian immigrants, who had come out to California and spent time in Esalen and had been changed by the experience, and then went back east and tried to blend in and couldn't. Nick eventually ended up taking his own life. And I decided that I would play with this as a theme, an organizing theme for the material. And what emerged was a book where I took Nick and put him on trial for what I had learned was a crime. Many people don't know it, but yes, it's actually a crime to commit suicide, to kill yourself, which there was something in that I just found delightfully absurd. And so I played with it and eventually took the material from the interviews and rearranged it as a form of testimony at the trial. But there came a moment when I was almost finished with it, when I needed a name. I didn't want to use Nick's name. So I came walking down this beach, just putting my mind up to the wind, when I was befriended by a dog. The dog came up to me, not unlike these dogs, and there was no owner in sight. And so I went walking back the beach, up this hill that I have just come from. And the whole way, this dog was with me, kind of looking at me and kind of looking up and playing with me and so on. And so when I got up the hill, I finally decided that I needed to introduce myself to this dog, and I looked at his name tag. It said Zeke. And I said, that is it. The character's name is Zeke. And Zeke is going to be the personification of the spirit of the 60s. And somewhere along the way, the name Daniel popped into my head. Zeke Daniels became the character. Not too long after that, I was browsing around a bookstore in San Francisco, and I came upon a book that had names and what they meant in it. You know what the name Zeke means? Anybody know what the name Zeke means? It means the strength of God. And the name Daniel means judge. May God be my judge. And so that became my guiding ethic. I am not judged by anyone around me. I am judged by a larger force. And if I can remain true to that, then Zeke lives within me, and I have within me the strength of God. This isn't some kind of religious rant. I'm not a religious. I mean, I've got my share of doubts, and I just pop into various churches because I think they're a great source of, well, music, inspiration, friendship. But there was something about that experience that kind of reinforced that I was on the right path. And then it came a little bit later, just recently actually, when I was following the footsteps of others in this new passion of mine, where I had imagined something that would enable us to more accurately determine the truth. But I needed a name. I didn't want to take the name of the book, The Truth Machine, but I liked it. But there was something about machine that sounded, I don't know, kind of creepy, I guess. So I went for a walk near the woods up where I was living in Mill Valley, and I came upon one of my neighbors, Jen, and I told her I was searching for a name. I described what it was all about. And she said, let me think about it. When I came back from my walk, about 40 minutes later, there was a note on my car. It just said simply, truth, sphere. And I knew immediately that was it. Because that's what I was imagining, a sphere of influence, and also a physical object, a sphere that would be embedded in websites with the simple number from 1 to 100, and people would see that truth sphere and they would know instantly whether or not they could trust this source. It would be like flipping a switch and the light would go on, the light of the truth.